10 seconds.
Now comes the part where we throw our heads back and laugh. Ready?
Ready!
Welcome to Comic Book Spectrum, a Rising Tide Broadcast Network production. Get ready to explore the world of comics, past, present, and future, with our panelists Eric Hawkins, Brian Rodman, and Clyde Hall. And now here's your host, Brian K. Morris.
And welcome, everyone. How the heck are you doing? Welcome to the Thursday, February 10th, 2022 edition of Comic Book Spectrum, where we're going to review some of the latest comic books and talk about comic news and just have all kinds of fun for the next couple hours. So strap yourselves in and get ready for some enjoyment here. And the first thing, and yes, we will be enjoying ourselves.
How dare you!
Well, it's worth it. Anyway, first thing we got to do is thank Jeffrey Hayes and Plasma Fire Graphics for sponsoring this episode. Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you. You've put together a great book, whether it's a novel or a comic book, and you want, of course, the finest cover you could possibly have on that thing to help sell it, right? You also need some graphics for social media, to say nothing of maybe a book trailer. Well, Jeffrey Hayes can do all that and more for you through Plasma Fire Graphics. Check out their page on Facebook and then go over to plasmafiregraphics.com and check out all the samples of books that they have published. They are known throughout the book industry for their, not only for the quality of their work, but for their indie creator friendly prices. So if you want to find out what they are, contact Jeffrey through Plasma Fire Graphics. Remember, that's Plasma Fire Graphics when the look of your book matters to you, because it definitely matters to your readers. We are part of the Rising Tide Broadcasting Network, a group of like-minded individuals who are dedicated to bringing you entertainment and enlightenment 7 days a week. Now, following this show at 9 p.m. Eastern will be Stupid O'Clock with Joe Dog McKeel and Friends. Following that at 11 with Last Man Standing with Dan Holofield. Plus, we have a full morning and evening lineup on Friday and a nighttime lineup on Saturday and Sunday that you're going to want to see. So take a picture of this schedule. It is the current one. Yes, I did download it, Dan. So check this out. Check out the Rising Tide Broadcast Network, and please give our Facebook page some love. And speaking of giving some love, we want to thank our Patreon subscribers who are helping keep this show on the air, as well as helping move the Rising Tide agenda forward. It's a good one, trust me. And if you want to see your name here as one of my patron friends, then go to www.patreon.com/Brian K. Morris, and we appreciate your support. Just as I appreciate these three gentlemen who I'm about to bring up on the screen here. The one, the only is Joe D. McPhee, Pro Slayer Eric S. Hawkins, and the one, the only Clyde Hall. Gentlemen, how are you tonight?
Present.
Peachy.
I strapped in too tight.
You learn to love it after a while, Clyde. Believe me, I used to have a voice. Yeah. On my good nights, I sound, only dogs can hear me broadcast. So yeah, you'll get used to it, Clyde. Anyway, and we've got a full complement of people giving all kinds of comments in the chat there, and we'll get to them in but a moment. And first of all, we're going to go around the room and introduce ourselves, and let's start. We're going to go clockwise tonight because the other way confuses people. And we're going to start with Clyde Hall. Clyde, tell people who you are and why you are so amazing and why you're the idol of millions.
Well, that's like Millie Millions that lives down the road. Yeah, she's 5 and she likes me, but I am awesome because awesome is as awesome does, and it doesn't get more awesome then this collection of witty and winsome writers and artists that I spend Thursday evenings with, they have rubbed off or rubbed down, or I don't know, there's some kind of rubbing going on. I'm pretty sure of that. But I am Clyde Hall, author and contributing writer at Comic Book Day, where every Wednesday we post the finest in new Comic Book Day news, comic reviews, and interviews. I'm also a contributing writer at Stormgate Press. I have work that appears in their anthology series, Pulp Reality. I have had stories features in Pulp Reality 1, 2, and now 3, with 4 coming out later this year. You should also go to www.stormgatepress.com to see the full variety of publications that we have in the new pulp genre, because it's got work by people like that guy, that Brian K. Morris guy, and Charles Milhouse, and Bobby Nash, and Scott Donnelly, and Carl Dietrich, and others. And some amazing artwork with people like Ted Davies and Clayton Merwin and others. So check us out there, or you can find Pulp Reality 1, 2, and 3 at Amazon right now. So the other reason that I'm awesome is I get to hang out with these wacky and wonderful weirdos most Thursdays at NCBD +1 right here at Comic Book Spectrum.
Most excellent. Thank you very much, Clyde. And bringing up the end here, there is the Pro Slayer himself. Yes, yes.
Oh, just sharing out the link. Okay.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, take your time then, by all means.
So this is me, Eric S. Hawkins, the creator of the Zombie World of Oz, artist, writer, extraordinary nice guy, and my arch nemesis has been taunting about this all week. Well, look what I got, Ted Davies. Look what I got. Hey, you can find me on Twitter. You can find me on here every Thursday night. After this show, you can find me on Drawing Court Fan Edition for another 2 hours of drawing live. If you like to stay up till midnight or 1 o'clock, depending on what time zone you're in. But hey, that's it.
Beautiful. Thank you, Eric.
You're welcome.
And while he's reading his new favorite comic book, let's switch over to our favorite pinch hitter here, Mr. Joe D. McPhee. Joe, tell the people who you are.
Well, I thought I was no longer a pinch hitter, but I guess I still am. I was about to say, "Yay me! I'm no longer a substitute."
Okay, you're graduated. Fine, you're a regular.
I've been
now.
graduated
Okay,
in 5th grade. I am Joe D. McPhee. I am the president of CGC Studios, creator of AWF, Primetime Saturday Night, and the Amazonian series, which you can find on Comixology, on our website. If you're really, really, really that into our stuff and you really want to try it out, you can find us on Webtoons and a couple other places here. Pretty much I'm here to review comic books and talk about comic book related stuff, and I do have my own show from the Desolate Small Press Publisher that is here on the Rising Tide Network, Saturdays at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 9 o'clock Central. And don't forget, this week we're going to have Learn Dodge Studio from yours truly, or as Rob Van Dam would be like, that.
Very cool. I'm looking forward to that because I got to learn how to work that thing. Thank you, Joe. Mm-hmm. And I'm Brian K. Morris, independent publisher, freelance writer, editor, award-winning playwright, Facebook famous YouTuber, and former mortician's assistant. I do all kinds of books that sell a lot of copies and people like them and you should buy them. I'm available on Amazon. And Smashwords, while it is still Smashwords, it just recently got bought by Draft to Digital. So I don't have no idea what I'll be calling myself then. But anyway, I'm glad to be here with these wacky guys here. This is the highlight of my week here, actually.
Hey Joe, look what it is, Joe. Look what it is.
Yeah, I still have to get mine. Because
I haven't read it yet, but yeah.
Well, don't read because I have to keep my word to a certain person about issue number 2, which is going to happen tonight.
Finally, the suspense is over.
Whoa!
Yeah, so I want to review issue 2 tonight. So, did you catch up with issue 2 yet? Did you catch up with issue number 2?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
That way
you can tell me if I missed something in the description here.
Even the young lady at the comic book store said, "You've been keeping up with this?" And yeah, she goes, "I love it." I'm like, "Yeah, it's pretty good."
That's a good recommendation right there. Very cool. Well, we've got, speaking of people excited about us being here, there's Donna Carlene. Yay, it's Thursday night. Mwah. Hello, Donna. Hello. Good to see you, Carl Witzman. And did your new kitten find you yet, Donna? Not yet. She did quiet down. This place is a maze for big people. Imagine what it's like for Bitty Kitty. And Carl Witzman gets lost himself trying to find the washroom. It is a large house that they live in, believe me. And apparently Jim the Furnace Man went missing when he remembered how to get to the furnace. And I think Jason knows the first 2 floors by now. And hello, superheroes. Glad to see you, Ted Davies Artistry. Welcome, sir. Check out Ted Davies' shows at 10 o'clock in the morning Eastern time on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Sometimes the Cigar Show once a month. And tomorrow night on Drinking with the Davies, they're going to have a special Valentine's drink for you. So, and everyone's saying hello. And I love how the youngster calls us kids. Oh, yeah. And there's Sarah. Mwah, good evening to you. Hope you're doing well. And almost time for the show. Don't forget to like this show once it starts. If you have enjoyed any part of it so far or plan to anytime in the immediate future, be sure to hit that like button on Facebook, and please hit that thumbs up on YouTube, and please subscribe so that you get notifications of when we're going to be here. And we love your dark little heart there, Sarah. And Geiger. Hope Hawkins got a copy. Yes, he did, sir. And if he doesn't like it, I've got your home address. Anyway, everyone's saying hello, and hobnobbery from Sarah in the back room or something.
I read it, and I got my lighter ready.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Bird.
Yeah.
Bird, baby bird. Come and looking for no bird, baby bird.
Let's see him try to duct tape the ashes back together. That's amusing.
Monkey meat.
I saw the second issue is out now?
Yes, came out.
That's exciting. And it took a wrong turn on Google Maps. I know, Dan, here you are, right? Check out Dan Holofield tonight at 11 p.m. on Last Man Standing. And hope they make it before the StreamYard link expires. And we have no idea either. We are having fun. All right, and showtime. And see, we fulfilled our promise. And everyone, and hey, Donna, I think you got everybody there, and looking forward to the positive vibes. That's what we got here. Speaking of positive vibes, please send yours to Brian Rodman, who could not be here for tonight's episode due to a tragedy in his family. And I told him to cut it the hell out, that he's, stop having these things so that he can be here. But anyway, please send Brian your love tonight, if you would.
It's actually explosive diarrhea, but he'll be okay.
Okay, yeah, that's the best kind.
That's a tragedy.
That's true. That's true.
Held is okay.
And dragging BKM, kicking and screaming into the 21st century. Well, we can only hope. And Rodman's sick, rubbing and licking is how it goes. Good night, everyone. I think Sarah's got the last word in, and he got one, Ted. But did Joe D want to be a regular here? That's a good point, Carl. It is a mixed blessing and a dubious honor, I would think. But and hello, beautiful Keisha Acuff, also part of the Rising Tide family. Check out her podcast and all the other stuff she does because she's amazing. And thank you, Dan Holofield, for liking and sharing. We encourage everyone else to do the same. And because we want to get more people in here, more conversation. And I have Geiger in trade paperback form. Oh, that's right. They just released the first volume in trade. Very good, Sarah. And, dang it, poor Rodman. Yeah, seriously. He's had a rough few months here. So please think fondly of the boy as we do. So, and we got through the comments. I'm getting faster at reading comments again. So... I've been practicing. So anyway, why don't we get started on the reviews? All right, and we will take comments as they come up, and please write down these titles because we may talk about some stuff you may want to indulge or set on fire, says Pro Slayer Arsonist down there.
Fire.
That's right. I'm Cornholio. And glad you got Geiger, Hawkins. And let's see if you better behave, Ted, because Clyde's looking a little too quiet tonight. He may be prowling for a victim. So
Nope, no prowling.
okay, yeah, I
No
still
victimizing's on the list here for tonight. No.
not yet.
Nope.
Um,
Well, yeah, it's early.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I still haven't gotten the screen capture of the moment when you zinged him last week, and all of us were like this, and we didn't rehearse it or nothing. We had the choreography down, and wow, everyone on the panel seemed real excited about that. Let's get to the reviews, Cricket. Well, we're going to get to the purpose of it. Yeah. Well, due to popular demand, we're going to get to the damn purpose of this show. So here we go. Let's start out with Joe D. McPhee, and we'll go in the usual order here. Joe, what have you got for us this week?
Well, before I keep my promise to a certain individual here, I'm just going to highlight a few recent pickups here that you probably didn't realize I have. One is I did get Lady Mechanica #2. So that might be coming up in the near future as far as a review is concerned. And then for those who are like me that are into pro wrestling, guess what came in the mail via Kickstarter from Source Points Press?
Ooh.
Finally got the Tony Schiavone Butts and Seats book, and it's pretty thick.
Wow. It is.
This is coming out by Source Points Press, and I got what they call the Championship Edition. You can see it right there in gold.
Oh, that's pretty.
Yeah.
Is that hardcover too?
Especially in green screen. It's really pretty.
Yeah. Mine doesn't look like that.
What, your Butts and Seats doesn't look like this?
No, not quite like that. No, I don't have the pretty lady in mind. So actually, I don't have mine yet. I need to. I missed out on the campaign. I'll probably get it eventually.
Yeah, I think there's going to be another edition that is going to be released by Source Point Press to comic book stores soon. But I got the Kickstarter one.
Okay, cool.
Had to. It's Tony Schiavone.
Yeah,
it's Tony Schiavone.
I get it. I totally get it. I really do.
But like I stated before, I'm keeping my promise. So hopefully Donna is out there. We're going to get to issue 2 of Daisy. Now, hopefully you remember what happened with issue #1. And I'm going to go through kind of like a brief synopsis of issue #1. Issue #1, there was like this this one stranger that came into this one town, and she was asking questions about the lore, about the whole thing about giants and Nephilims and everything to that magnitude. And she was pretty much investigating everything to that magnitude. She ended up meeting the sheriff. The sheriff ended up taking her to this one individual who was not quite normal per se. I mean, towering over everybody, and she had all these different kids and everything. And she asked a couple of questions and everything, and then before they knew it and everything, the lady ended up getting shot down and everything to that magnitude. And it turns out that the sheriff happened to be like the quote unquote father of what was going on there, which is kind of like a more religious type cult. But it's really a lot more than that. It turns out that Nephilims were real, and that a lot of them turned against what was known as the Heavenly Father, or what the Heavenly Father wanted, the purpose of what the Heavenly Father had for them. And it turned out that they was talking about the relationships of angels to humans, and how this one angel failed to stop all the Nephilims, because they was talking about there's still one left out there that still inhabits the land and whatnot. And we trying to figure out what's going on, because it's like parts of the issue was showing about the legend and how it was desolate, and people were getting eating and stuff like that. And then you had this other part where all the children and those that was a part of this cult was pretty much studying up and getting ready to go to war. And one of the things that was there was the young lady that was there that was unique per se, if you remember the cover and everything, and how she plays into everything. So this is where we leave off with issue number 2. It's like nobody knows what's really going on. So issue number 2 starts out with said individual who came into town waking back up. She's like, in, kind of like in the bed in the middle of nowhere amongst all of this forestry and everything. And she's waking up and she's up here like, what is going on? This, that, and the other. And then all of a sudden she hears somebody say, welcome back, Lindsay. And it turns out it's Daisy that's standing there waiting for her. And then that's when Daisy told her, it's like, no, you died, but I brought you back. So she got reincarnated. Is, she experienced what death truly was, but because Daisy brought her back, it's like now Daisy could tell her the true purpose of what's going on. And one of the key things here is that Lindsay came to find whatever happened to her son, and her son is right there. So the question is, it's like, what's really going on behind the scenes? So as Daisy and Lindsay started talking, she actually made mention about how things changed between the angels and the Heavenly Father, and how the Heavenly Father seemed to have turned his back on the angels per se. So she's saying, Daisy is up here saying a war is coming and all this other stuff is happening. And she showed Lindsay the spot where all of these different creatures and stuff were pretty much dead. And in the long run, she touched the ground and they all came back to life. Just to kind of make her feel more at peace as far as what she was trying to tell her, like everything that she's telling her is real. Now, back at the house where the so-called sheriff/father is at, he finally coming back in, and he was asking the children a couple of questions as far as, what was going on, what was happening, this, that, and the other. The kids pretty much told the father, well, Daisy told us to stay here, this, that, and the other. She had a couple of, things to take care of business-wise. Yada, yada, yada. It's like, okay, fine. We'll discuss this later, because he was kind of disappointed as far as Daisy taking off the way that she did. So he goes up to his room. He gets everything, gets undressed, tries to relax and everything. He noticed that the closet door was a little bit ajar. He goes and takes a look at the closet, and behind all of the clothing and everything, he takes a closer look at it, and he sees this mystic symbol. If I could get it into focus here. There we go. Right there. He sees this mystic symbol with a dead crow in it. So he calls back downstairs to the kids. It's like, okay, did Daisy put you guys up to this? What's going on? It's like, is this really a joke and whatnot? So he looks out the window and everything, and to his surprise, he gets pretty much murdered by crows.
Cool.
I mean, it was just not, it was not even a second thought. And then the kids hear everything upstairs and everything. And the oldest one is like, no, stay here. He goes upstairs and he looks up, he looks at the father, and the father is now dead, which brings us into issue number 3 of Daisy. So overall, I am digging this book just from the lore aspect of Nephilims and angels, and the aspect of what Daisy really is. Is Daisy really a Nephilim, or is she really an angel? And what is really going on behind the scenes, because it seems like she sees something or knows something that's about to happen. And she's like looking at everything as far as who is really corrupt and who is not. And even if they did get corrupt, there's a way to bring them back. And why did she save Lindsay in the first place? That's another question, because she didn't even have to bring back Lindsay. She didn't even have to tell Lindsay half of the stuff that she told her. So it's interesting how this book ties so closely into issue number 1, but yet keeps the mystery about what Daisy really is. Is she really is a Nephilim, or is she really is the angel that was mentioned in that lore? So I guess we got to wait into issue number 3 to find out. So with that being stated, I will go ahead and give Daisy an 8 out of 10. And the reason for an 8 out of 10 is because it's keeping my interest and keeping me pulled in with this mystery, but also at the same time, it's almost as if I want to give it like a 9 or a 10, but I'm not completely satisfied to give it that 9 or 10 as of yet. So that's the reason for my scoring here. And I hope that those who do pick up this series up to this point enjoy it the way that I have. I know that Eric has up to this point, hopefully. And I'm going to open up the door for everybody else. And Eric, did I miss anything in this issue?
No, I think you're good. And once you read 2, go get 3. That's out right now. Just came out yesterday.
It came out yesterday. I just haven't picked up mine as of yet.
Very cool. Very cool. Now, do you think you would might give it adjust your score, or give an average score once the whole thing is the whole?
Oh yeah, I normally do.
Okay.
Yeah, it's only a 5-issue story arc. So after the 5th issue, I probably give the whole series score.
And this is rare for Joe, because this is almost borderline horror.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Murdered by Crows is horror. Yeah.
I would say so. Yeah.
Murdered by a murder. Yeah.
No, it looked good, and a lot of the art reminded me of Charlie Adler from The Walking Dead. Very simple line work, very, wouldn't say flamboyant layouts, but just the same strong storytelling. I could tell what was going on in there. So that's very cool. Very cool. Let's see. Here we go. Getting back to comments here. Clyde Davies, or excuse me, not Clyde Davies, Ted Davies. I haven't had enough. Anyway, Clyde is the original gangster. I'm still healing. And thanks to his generosity in comics, Joe D will get a book in the mail in a few days.
Ooh.
Oh, that's good. And Sarah sharing the love. Love you, Sarah. And so many questions. Very, very cool. Carl Witzman has a question. So is Lindsay a tool for exposition to the audience? That's a great question.
Up to this point, yes. Again, we don't know what point she serves coming into this 3rd issue as of yet. But I know that she served the point of exposition between issue 1 and issue 2.
Yeah.
If she remains beyond issue into issue 3 is the question. The only person that I know that may know the answer to that question is sitting right over there.
I don't know. I haven't read it yet. I was too busy reading 80 pages of something else.
I know what it was. No, you had to be. Eric's like, no way. And Donna Carlene asks,
no.
There we go. That's more like it. Maybe we'll never really find out about Daisy.
It could be that too. If it ends that way, I would still probably be somewhat happy, not knowing exactly which side that she was really on.
That's true. Yeah, interesting. Thank you, guys and gals, for your comments there. And Eric, are you getting ready there?
Just looking at it's not a skeleton horse on issue 3; it's a skeleton deer.
Oh, you're gonna expand your horizon.
He's up here as like inspiration.
No, I'm already ready. I'm good. Whenever you're ready.
You are ready. I am ready. We are ready. Go for it, Eric.
So obviously, I did pick up Daisy 3. I picked up Moon Knight 8. Is that right? 8, yeah, which is a tie-in with Devil's Reign. And Hunter's Moon has to replace Moon Knight because Moon Knight's in jail.
That'll do it.
Yeah, what a bummer for a superhero. Then I picked up some other books because I went Saturday because I missed all last week because of the snow here. And my shop didn't even get their books till Friday anyway. but they did have my Geiger 80-page giant ready for me.
Woo!
Yes.
Which this is really cool. So I love the Geiger series. It ended, I wouldn't say a letdown, but the final issue wasn't as good as the rest of the series. Only because it didn't answer some of the questions I had. I wanted to learn more about Las Vegas and all the crime lords in Las Vegas and all this other stuff. You still don't, there's the unknown war that happened, and it's referenced in here, but you still don't, they call it the unknown war. But this book is a tale of a bunch of different stories that tells you about the Vegas, mostly Vegas, and all the different crime lords in Vegas and the casinos they run, which was exactly what I wanted, which was great. So it's got so many creators with it because they're all different teams. Now, I didn't know this until just a minute ago, and the one story I liked the least was written by Pornsack himself, Pichette Chote. You know, the guy that does the Good Asian. Yeah. So, because that one, it was. But what I didn't like about it so much is, I mean, I love the art in every single one of these stories, but when you get to the Goldbeard story, it's cute, but it's very Disney pirate-esque.
Oh, okay.
So, it's not a bad story, but just the art kind of threw me off. But, it starts out, this is the cool thing about it. It starts out with who is Redcoat, and what Redcoat. He is a redcoat from, the Revolutionary War who fought against Washington. And apparently Washington is telling his men, we'll need faith and power of some sort. So he's calling upon the Masons, I guess, to give him power. And he just decimates the redcoats. But apparently this one redcoat was cursed with immortality and is living in the Vegas area now, and he's being recruited to go kill the glowing man. But the cool thing about the redcoat here is, come on, where are you at? Redcoat, the rise of the immortal mercenary, coming in 20. He's getting his own book.
Ooh.
Straight out of this. And I can't wait for that. Looks good. Also, another book they advertise in the back, I'm kind of looking forward to because it just looks weird. It's Junkyard Joe.
Wow.
A Vietnam era robot soldier.
Who did the artwork on that ad for Redcoat?
I believe it is Brian Hitch.
Ah, okay.
Ooh,
Yep.
Nice.
Look good from.
Yeah. And actually, now that I'm looking at it, that's definitely his hatch work and everything on the Washington right there on the front page.
Yeah.
So he did the story and he's doing the book too. So that should be cool. But you learn about him and he's going to get his spin-off book. It tells about the Redcoat, because Washington. Well, that's a good question. Maybe Washington isn't dead. He's used his power and faith to live all these years in hiding. The next story is basically about Geiger being bored with all the books he has in his bunker. He's read all these books. He's still waiting for the nuclear fallout to go away so he can release his family from the bunker. And I won't spoil that in case you haven't read it. But he goes into town, finds a library, and this is where he finds Barney, his two-headed dog. And he got a little puppy, two-headed puppy there he saves. Then you come back to these guys, which I'd forgotten about, who it's two guys sitting out in the middle of the desert, and the one's telling the other guy stories about Geiger, the glowing man. And I'd forgot they had been in every issue, and it's him telling the stories about him to this other guy. And it comes right back into them. He starts telling the stories. Well, he tells them about the dog. Then he tells them about the different crime lords in Vegas. And you get the little Vegas map again, and it tells you where different casinos are and what casinos they are. The first one is the Safari Bob's. which didn't start out being Safari Bob's. It started out being Safari Bill's.
Bills. Okay.
But Bob apparently was one of the people in this casino where people bet on if people can survive or not. And Bob did survive and killed Bill. Killed Bill. And, and instead of taking the homeless people that Bill was taking from the streets of Vegas and the poor people and putting them out there for the rich people to bet on, he takes the rich people and sticks out there to fight against each other.
I like that.
Then the next one is very Twilight Zone-ish. And this is about the casino Karloff, which is kind of a horror casino, as you can imagine with the name. And you got some vampires and werewolves and people dressed up like that and sea creatures. This one had a really weird twist to it, and I really liked it. And now I'm going to have to look see who did the art on that because it looks very familiar to me. We're part of the Safari. The Karloff is it's Kelly Jones.
Ooh,
Nice.
Because I was looking at this image right here, it's like that looks real familiar to me. Just the way it's shaded and everything. So I don't see a lot from him anymore. So it was good to see him do a little story. So you learn about the Karloff and how people can gamble there, and if they lose a part of themselves, typically organs or something like that, or body parts for the organ people who I wondered what they were because they had mentioned them early in the series, and apparently they just like to eat organs. So the Karloff Casino takes care of that. And then the next one was, which casino was this? It's the Roman-based casino, but this one is really sad. It's a sad story about this woman who's, it's Nero's. Nero is the name of the casino. Who's like indentured to Nero, and she's his prisoner, and she is like, he has taken everything from her, everything, even her child, cut it out of her and all this. And that one just ends kind of sad. She ends up being kind of happy at the end. It's funny. While I was reading this, in the back of my mind, I got other things going on too. And I was like, let's see, I'm doing the trade paperback for the Zombieful World of Oz. I need to re-letter Brian's backup story in issue 2 because people couldn't read the font too well because it's a handwritten font and it's like letter pages from a diary. And sure enough, that's what this whole story is.
oh wow!
I was like, oh, hey, that font, yeah. I think I'm just going to go to a regular text font. Some of this is hard to read too. But this story, this is one of the better stories too. It's just a little sad. Then you have the pirate story, which, this one ended sad too, even though I didn't like it as much because of the artwork. But it's a sad dementia story. And then you've got, which casino is this? There's so many freaking casinos. I'm trying to remember all of them. This one is, I don't remember. But this lady, she ends up running one of the casinos. This one's the Manhattan. That's what it is. Then someone in the casino is stealing. Some young lady stealing money. So she's like, well, why are you doing it? Because I'm tired of working on my back for money. So apparently she's a whore. No, I'm hungry and tired of working on my back. So he says, well, get her a prime rib dinner and let's get the car ready. We're going to take a trip out to the desert. And she takes her out to the desert, and it doesn't end how you would expect it to end, which is really cool. She does kill one of her henchmen out here, which I thought was kind of cool because he didn't tell her something, and he should have. And she goes, I'll do it myself. I won't leave you out here for the organ people or the radiation. And he says, thanks. And you get this. You guys won't be. Well, you might be able to see that. The little pop as she shoots him in the head. Pop. Just a little sound effect, but it was enough. And then this one is the Star Casino, the Shooting Star Casino or something like this. This one, there's a lady that her father apparently owned this at one point, and she's come back to take control. And she goes, and she doesn't run it anymore. Her father lost it, and these other people run it, and she sneaks in a spacesuit, which is just weird, but it's a space themed casino, so it's kind of fitting. But she tells these people, the house always wins, and this is my house. And there's just a big explosion. Now she's running the casino. But she is apparently the most ruthless of all the casino owners. Well, I guess basically because she blew up her own casino. But then you end up back with these guys again, telling the story. And the main guy, who kind of looks like Snake Plissken, he's got a patch over his eye in his radiation suit, talking to the other guy. He said, "We don't talk about her. I'm not going to tell you any stories about her." But I will. He goes, "Oh, come on, tell me something." Well, I'll tell you one thing. She is in love with the glowing man. And that's just how it ends, right there. You got a lot. I mean, for $8, you got a lot of story here. And they were all good. I mean, one I didn't like as much as the others, but it was still a good story and sad. You get a lot of emotional stories, a lot of horror and creepiness. Cute stories, and just it's a good read. The whole series was good, and this is just as good as the series. It gave me what I was wanting out of the series that I missed in the series that I wanted to see otherwise. So I'm giving this a 10 out of 10.
Wow. Very impressive.
That'll be the last 10 I ever give, because it is not. I don't give 10s, but I really like this. But the reason I don't give 10s is because 10s are reserved for Watchmen, Dark Knight, God Loves, Man Kills, stuff like that. Epic books. That's my feeling. But I think this complements the entire series, and everything in here is well done. And you got some legendary artists in here. It's really good.
Very good there.
Admit it. That's a spite score. Just to get back at Ted. It's just
you might be. A spite score would have. Well, I could have bought an extra copy, and when I wouldn't be able. This is square.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be able to, I couldn't tear this. That one. Yeah.
If you could tear that thing apart with that spine, I would start paying you when you draw for me, Eric. I'd be so terrified of you.
What's that?
Say what?
What's
just
pay me? I don't
pay that. Never mind. You didn't hear a thing. You didn't hear a thing. Shut up, Brian. But anyway,
like straight out of the Street Fighter movie. You mean you got paid?
And Donna Carlene gasps, and Carl Winsman, wow, shocker. And let's see here. We had some more comments back here. Ted Davies Artistry said, "Hawkins, I got the better Geiger cover. I'll sell it to you."
I don't know. I really like this one. I mean,
I like it because it reminds me of the old '60s.
Yeah. I mean, it's got the featuring up here, and then all the little boxes and stuff, and I like it. I really like it.
I always like those.
I love it even.
He's gonna let us watch anyway. Sarah says all the pics in the back of the trade paperback of Geiger is mind-blowing. Good. And
I haven't picked up the trade paperback. I should do that.
I should probably get that too, just on your recommendation. And Sarah says, "I love his puppy." And sounds like Repo, the genetic opera with the talk of organs. OMG, her phone wanted to say orgasms instead of organs. Well,
it's a good thing she caught that in time.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Well, Sarah, I want you to say the other word. So anyway, and JD Smith, digital artist, good to see you here. JD says, so what you're saying? This is a sad comic. Sad being the key word. It was a sad story. So anyway,
some of the stories are sad. Some of them are rewarding.
Yeah. And here we go. And then Sarah says, well, I know what I'll be looking for. Orgasms? Anyway, Frog G said, I know somebody had to. We were riding too long on the rails. Somebody had to get us off of them. And Frog G says, tickle the algorithm, smash the like, dingle the bells, and subscribe. Thank you, Frog G. I like the way you think. Good person. So anyway,
Eric,
thank you, Eric.
I didn't get hooked with your first when you mentioned Geiger. It didn't really hook me, but that review. Now I got to go find the trade and 80-page giant.
Because the story itself. I mean, him with a form of cancer. He's out there. Then this secret war happens, or mystery war, and he is infected, or either the radiation treatments he was taking saved him, but he's glowing, and he put his family in the bunker to save them, and was going to bring them out when the radiation was gone. And then his dog getting killed before they gets the family in the bunker, and these people trying to get in the bunker, and him having to stay out to get his family in, and everything just went south from there.
I'm definitely going to have to check this out. It does sound good. It really does. And apparently after Sarah and I had the conversation, here come the bots now. Yes, says Sarah. And you're welcome. Thanks, Sarah. Anyway, I'm the one that said it. I shouldn't complain. But anyway, thank you again, Eric. That was very good.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Very, very cool.
And I was present to see the first 10 out of 10 that I have ever witnessed from him.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive, dude.
It'll probably be the last one I ever give.
Until the next issue of Geiger.
Until Zombie World of Oz #4, launching soon, comes out.
There we
go. Yeah.
There we go. Well, that's cool. That is very cool. And Ted Davies Archery, I was waiting for him to reply. Great review, Hawkins, but my cover is better. It is 10 out of 10.
I can't remember which one he got. I'm going to have to look it up.
Yeah. And 0. What? I think Ted's having trouble with his typing tonight. But anyway, well, I will go next. I say, wait a second. 80 pages of awesome. There we go. That's more like it. Okay, that makes sense then. You hit the wrong key. So anyway, it does sound awesome. Really, it does. So I think I need to go to Comixology tonight. And Lissy, hello, Lissy. Mwah. Dad doesn't give 10 out of 10 on too many things in general. That's true.
there was a blank cover, and I missed that one.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I like getting blank colors drawn
and be happy.
Yeah, I do too.
Be happy.
Oh, there was a Hitch. Did he get the Hitch? He got the Hitch cover or the Peel a Tear cover, I think.
Yeah, are you looking at League
of Comic Geeks? Of course, that's where I'm looking.
That's good. That's right. I'm sorry. That's become a pretty important source of information for me. It really has. So I appreciate your sharing that with us. So.
Well, no problem. Hey, in case my grandgirls are watching. Hey, Nora. Hey, Fiona. my Nora asked me a couple of weeks ago. She goes, Dad, I told my friends you're on YouTube, but they've never heard of you.
I get that a lot, Eric. You'll get used to it.
I'm like, well, yeah, I am, but no, nobody's ever heard of me.
Yeah. Well, somebody we've all heard of said, welcome, Lissy, from Carl Wisman. But somebody we've all heard from is Cindy Cap. Mwah, waving at Cindy. How you doing, sweetie? And go to ckoepp.com and sign up for that free monthly newsletter. You'll be glad you did. It's a really good read every month. It really is. And whether you like comics or not. And everyone, Carl and Donna are saying hello to Lissy. Hello, Lissy. Glad to have you here. So anyway, I will get started on mine. And last week, as you no doubt recall, the 400 inches of snow that we got last week in Lafayette, Indiana, actually it was about 18 or so, precluded my going to the comic book shop, Blue Moon Comics on Earl Avenue. Which is just as well because the one of the proprietors gave up the ghost at 4:00 and said that he was going to go home while he still could. So it worked out. So I got 2 comics this week from last week. However, for some reason, and there could be a variety of reasons, like there's too few trucks carrying this stuff, more snow up in Fort Wayne, whatever. But anyway, the DCs had not come for this week, had not come in. I will probably be picking those up tomorrow. We'll talk about next week. But I think I only had maybe 2, maybe. One for sure. I think one was Superman, Son of Kal-El. And then I was going to look at that Valentine's Day special because those are usually pretty good. But anyway, my reviews this week, this is from last week, World of Krypton. This is turning into a really interesting political story. There's political factions, and we see how Jor-El got crypto. And it's really, really fun. I'm going to give this one an 8.5 out of 10, mostly because I'm liking the artwork. They're not doing all the weird shading stuff with the Photoshop that they did in the first issue, but I want to see somebody like a Kurt Swan or a Wayne Boring or even a Dan Jurgens. But Michael Avon Oeming is doing a good job, and Robert Venditti is writing a really good general science fiction story here that I think is still worth checking out. So that's an 8.5. The next one is Knights of the Dinner Table. I love this comic. It's very character driven. And as you can see, and that's not a typo. Yes, that is issue number 290, which is pretty darn impressive. And of course, the Frame Brothers have done another incredible parody or homage, if you will, of an old Justice League of America cover by Murphy Anderson. And if they made a line of like a book of these covers, I would consider my life to be a full one. But in this issue, BA is starting his campaign again, and so he calls upon the Knights to create a new in-depth character history for each of their characters, and the others get to vote on whether the character gets played or not. It's really a lot of fun, although a lot of it depends on knowing the back issues and getting some of the jokes from that, because they talk about the bag wars where they managed to fall into a bag of infinite holding. So I'm giving that I'm giving that an 8.5 too, mostly on the strength of the cover because it was so darn good. And then I got the latest issue, the penultimate issue of Justice League Incarnate with a beautiful Gary Frank cover. One thing that got me about when they did the New 52, which was 12 years ago now, I think. It's been a long time.
It's been a while. It doesn't seem like it's been a while, but it's been a while.
Yeah, getting close to a decade, I believe.
Yeah, I'm thinking so too. But anyway, one of the things they had in there that the DC management at the time was saying was that the various crises never happened. And I thought that was a shame because they told some good stories during that time. But anyway, they revisit at the start of the book how the universe was formed into the multiple planets. And then we have a little thank you to the original Crisis on Infinite Earths, a little shout out to the Spectre and various other characters. And then also the way they frame this is that it's been a war between the light and the great darkness, for all you Legion of Superheroes fans, and how there was a balance struck during the original Crisis, and that a lot of the other events that happened, as you can see in this lower panel here, such as you see Superman Prime and Extant from Zero Hour, anyway, and also Gog from the Kingdom, various crossovers were part of an unconscious plot by the Great Darkness. So all of this is tied in, and when the universe is threatened, it calls forth the superheroes to act as its antibodies. And they said here that the Crisis did exist. So did the Infinite Crisis, where Batman killed Darkseid. But we all know how well that works. And then also a nod to Flashpoint and to the New 52. Also, let's see. And also the metal thing that I thought would never end. And apparently it hasn't. But this is a solid issue. Some good storytelling, some good twists and turns. And one of my complaints about Brian Michael Bendis's Leviathan and Checkmate books was the fact that you'd have like a double-page spread that didn't merit it. This is what a double-page spread should look like. And there's 3 of them in here, but I don't feel cheated by them. And what you see here is basically Darkseid going kaiju style and growing to fight the Great Darkness. And then here's, of course, we had the wide angle scream, as Jack Kirby used to call it. Another one here. And then I think it was one more. Yes, one more. And you have these things that stretch across 2 pages. I don't feel cheated story-wise, though. The only thing is, one thing that's been good about this series so far is that every issue has had at least one artist that you're going, okay, that's interesting to see. But each issue has been drawn by about 3 or more people, which makes me wonder, did DC find itself behind the 8 ball scheduling wise or what? I'm just curious about that. But the stories have been solid, and just the way they piece everything together in here and all the revelations, I'm giving this a 9.5. This has seriously been a good comic. And it's going to segue into Justice League 75, where the JLA gets killed, because we all know DC kills characters forever. And also a new book called Justice Dark Crisis, I think it's called. Just what the world needs, one more crisis book. But anyway, my pick of the week, and this is also the Justice League Incarnate came out last week, and this did too. Unfortunately, my comic monger knows my taste. This is the brand new book from the company that brought you the Heroes Union and the Blue Baron. This one is called Startup, and it is a fine book. The cover is by Sal Buscema, classic Marvel artist. The costumes have been designed by Ron Frenz and Sal Buscema, and the concept is, by day, she's a 300-pound single mom. By night, she's a 300-mile-per-hour superhero. A woman who is a stenographer. Isn't that fun? But anyway, she's she's morbidly obese. That's the medical term. Lives kind of like not the most fun life in the world. She's a court stenographer, specialty being superhero cases, has a guy in her office that won't even look at her. She's always late for work, and then this happens. Big superhero battle. And during the course of it, she winds up interfering with the battle. And then an accident happens, and she gains these powers where she slims down, and the energy compacts in her, and she becomes super fast. And there's guest shots in here by the Blue Baron protege and the Heroes Union. The story is by Darren Henry, who wrote a number of episodes of Seinfeld, I believe. And the art is by Craig Rousseau, who I haven't seen in a while. Really kind of simple artwork. The layouts remind me a lot of Sal Buscema, but it's really nice to look at. Good coloring from Glenn Whitmore, who used to work for DC quite a bit, and lettered by Marshall Dillon. Okay. But anyway, they're promising another issue of Startup. These are not coming out regularly, but they are so good, especially if you like 70s comics. The pacing and the storyline, this is done in one, with teasers for more stories to come. And, I'm the opposite of Eric, that I'll give a 10 at the drop of a hat. But this book earned it. I'm calling this one is worth reading and rereading again. I'm giving it a 10. All right. And also, another thing is, it's a number 1, and it's 68 pages, which is like almost 3 times what you'd get from a regular $4.99 or $3.99 book from Marvel or DC. This is $4.99 for 68 pages of story and art. And the only ads in here are in the back for more issues, of course, that you can get from the bingebooks.com. But anyway, this is a great book, especially if you have younger readers. I would recommend this if you want someone to get them started on comics. This is really quite fun. 10 out of 10 on Startup, number 1 from Binge Books.
It's as good as... Never mind.
It's as good as the Heroes Union.
you just made her seem like a reverse Big Bertha from Great Lakes Avengers.
Yeah.
That's what she is. That's the way you kind of made it seem.
Yeah, that's kind of how she is. Although I think in this one she's a more fleshed out character, so to speak, than Big Bertha. You know, you I know you'll get it one day, people. You'll just laugh. Anyway, but no, she's a lot more let's say well-rounded. What the hell am I doing?
Purposely doing double entendre. That's what you're doing.
No, I'm
Tundra.
Yeah, my Freudian slip is showing. But no, she is a fully realized character. I should have said that, you know. And it's just a real fun read from first to last. And it's almost the way it's broken up into chapters. It's almost like getting 3 issues in one. Oh, so you know, it's really strong storytelling. Like I said, I really like Ron Frenz and Sal Buscema as an art team, and or Frenz and Brett Breeding. And I'm sorry they couldn't do this issue, but Craig Rousseau's art does not disappoint. So let's see. Here we go.
September 2011.
JD. That's a good point, JD. I kind of agree with that too. But we'll get to that comment a little bit later.
No, we'll do now. Sal Buscema might be the definitive Hulk artist. At least he's the standard of dynamic poses in action sequences. Yeah, JD Smith, I gotta agree with you on that. And there was a time, like back in the 70s, because Buscema was so fast, he was laying out, just doing simple layouts for about 3/4 of the Marvel line, single-handedly keeping them on schedule. And then when he started doing Hulk, it's like he rededicated himself to his art, and it became more dynamic than before. It's closer to what his brother John was doing. So I have to agree with you. I don't know if I would call him the definitive artist on Hulk, because there have been so many great artists on Hulk, but he's certainly in my top 5. You know, I would include Jack
Where's
Kirby.
Dale Keown for?
He'd be in my top 5 too. I'm thinking he'd probably be, on most days, he'd be number 1. But you know, they also had people like Bill Everett, Jack Kirby, of course, Steve Ditko, Maurice Severin, Todd McFarlane. Yeah, right. And Herb Trimpe, who did the book for seems like forever. In fact, Buscema was his replacement. So, and Mike Mignola did a few issues too, and John Byrne. So it's had some really spectacular artwork on that book. So
speaking of the artwork, you said Gary Frank did a part of that.
And Gary Frank, yeah.
So Gary Frank, he does Geiger,
right?
But I think Gary Frank is a slow artist, and that might be why that's split up to multiple artists.
That could be. That could very well be. That's a good point. Yeah. And let's see here. And people only buy 2 comics in one trip. Blasphemy. If that is, well, we're not up to your standards, Sarah. But sometimes
some weeks I only get one.
Actually, it's a different, because we kind of got like a head start. I mean, most of us have a library already, so we don't need to go in and get all of the back stuff that we already have. Makes a big difference.
That's true. That's a good point. That's a good point, Joe. And plus, you know, I find that there was a time when I wanted to own every comic on Earth. Okay, you know, my addictive personality found a home in comic collecting. But as I grew older, and I reached a certain point where I realized I have these books and I'm never going to reread them for whatever reason. And do I really need to own like all the reprints of it, for instance? And so I you know, in recent years, I've become a little, you wouldn't know it from my pull list, but I've become a lot more selective in what I pull from, you know, the comic shop now. So, you know, and it's saved me a lot of money, and it's made me happy because I'm not wasting my time reading stuff once and then putting it away, never to see it again. But
checkmate.
It's on the way out, buddy. I'm telling you, with by March, that book's gonna be out of here. I've already picked the dealer I'm unloading. I mean, gonna gift it to him. Yeah, that's it. And Sarah says, actually, I haven't been to Midgard going on 3 weeks or so. Oh my God, I can feel the shakes from here. And we'll still be here when you make your call. I love you, Sarah. And Clyde Davies. Why did I say Clyde Davies? I'm seeing Clyde Hall and then Ted Davies. I'm mixing them up. I'm sorry, guys. And Clyde Hall, a.k.a. the kingpin of comic reviews, brutality in words.
Wow.
Yeah. Now,
Oh, Cindy got a good question.
yes, she does. I just saw that, and no, it's not a dumb question, Cindy. It's an
It's a
excellent
good question. It's a good question.
It really is. It has 3 2-page spreads, and I didn't feel cheated. What qualities does a good 2-page spread have? To me, and this is something we touched on. I don't know if you were here when I was reviewing Checkmate, a recent book from DC. That to me the 2-page spread is like a widescreen epic, like that moment in Aquaman when you see Atlantis for the first time, or you had like there was also one I didn't get to in there. It showed in Justice League, the Justice League book, where Darkseid is calling up everyone from Apocalypse. So you have parademons, Granny Goodness, the female Furies, all of his rotten kids. It was like this huge panorama that if you put it in like one panel on page, it might get crowded. But this gives this diorama room to show itself off. And it's been done. I think a lot of artists can do it to great effect. Whereas if it were something like one time there was I think the most egregious violation of this ethic was in the issue of Checkmate I reviewed, where it was a 2-page spread showing the Earth and the Justice League satellite. Or no, it wasn't even Justice League satellite. It was just the Earth in space and just a corner of the Earth. Who cares? It didn't advance the story. It didn't give you a sense of drama. And that, to me, Cindy, is what a good 2-page spread on a comic should be. It should be worth taking up all that real estate and putting something down visually that would not work as well if it were just even just a full page thing. And I see Joe is going into the collection there.
In the Checkmate case, I'm going to say that was the writer getting to the end of the story going, crap, I'm short a page. Let's turn one of these into,
Yeah, I'm thinking you're right. And
when they stretch it out, just there you go.
Yes. Great example. Look at that. It's a beautiful panorama, and regardless of the captions on there, look at how it's allowing that artwork to breathe. And there's no real, what I can see there's no real wasted panels, and there's obviously something going on there, so it's moving the story forward. So I'd say that's a great example. Thank you, Joe. That's super. That's
no
super.
problem. I was like, it's like, think, sometimes you have to think, like, you said the word epic, but I look at it as like something that is so dynamic that requires multiple actors doing multiple things all at one time. Exactly. And you can't just really separate in the panels without, throwing off the rest of the story, because you could have each individual do it in their own panel, or you could have one panoramic scene where you could show it all at one time and everybody gets the gist of it.
Exactly. Good points. And I have Dale Keown at number 2 or 3. I agree. I mean, I have a fondness for the older artists, like I said, like Kirby, Ditko, Severin, and Trimpe. But yeah, Dale Keown did some incredible issues. And so Gary Frank, there's been a succession of great artists on the Hulk. And while BKM DC only has a few books except Batman, well, there's Batman, and then there's the other 2 or 3 DC books. But anyway,
there's Batman and the ones that don't sell.
That's right. That's true. So a 2-page spread, says Cindy Kemp, is not a single image, but more of a collage. It could be both.
It could be both. It could be multiple things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it depends, like how, like I said, as long as it contributes to pushing the story forward, or giving you a sense of scale is another thing. Like I said, a lot of artists in comics think in terms of cinema. In fact, some of the greatest artists in the medium have thought in terms of like cinematic angles and such. And this is just basically your big ta-da moment. Now, in this one
Maybe that's the
issue,
flat
it had
page.
several ta-da moments. So, you know,
I've only used the double page spread once, but I wanted to show the entire scene, and I needed both pages to do that because one page wasn't going to work. I needed a wide page. Yeah.
And I was about to get ready to say that. It's like, to me, it's like, if you look in terms of scale, it's an even bigger scale than what you can put out on a splash page.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's why Kirby, I think, when he was doing, especially in the like his old Archie work, like on The Fly and the Lancelot Strong, and then he started doing it when he went back to DC in the early 70s, that, you know, you'd have one page, then you open up the thing, and there's like this double page spread, but it's usually some sort of strong action that gets you right into the meat of the story. And, that's a good thing to study if you ever want to do that sort of storytelling.
Yeah, like if you have the Avengers and Justice League clashing in a comic book together, you don't want to put that in one little panel. You want their first clash to be a double wide spread.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And J.D. Smith, digital artist, says, when I think of two-page spread artists, the two that come to mind are Jim Lee and John Romita Jr. Yeah, exactly. I would include them as well. Carl Westman says the trouble was like the one Joe D showed on his show, where they had a two-page spread for the credits. Yeah, that's kind of lazy there. Yeah, and George Perez.
He's talking about that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I agree.
But that's the title and the credits, so that's okay.
Yeah, Cindy, this is not an example of what I would call what it's for. So, and I wish I could say that's the only one I've ever seen, but it's.
And what made it worse is the next page after that was this.
Oh, sweet heavens!
It's like, how many times you going to give us credits? We got a double page spell for a credit, then you give us another credits page.
Yeah. In case you missed it the first time. And JDR's digital artist is George Perez as well. That's a beautiful example there. He's one of the, I think George Perez is one of the few artists, though, who could take a single page and give it that, breadth of the breadth, BREDTH, of scope that some scenes would need, because he's a master of that. And you're very welcome, Cindy. Thank you for your excellent question. It's greatly appreciated. And anytime you want to ask those kind of questions, folks, we are here to tell you. So,
and we might have examples.
We might just, if mine weren't 2 floors down, I'd do that too. But anyway, we have gone through ours, and now it is time, the moment you've all been waiting for, I'm sure, because I have been.
And now for your free feature presentation.
No, that's everybody logs out. Oh my, drop on my slides.
We actually have more than twice the number of people right now than we did when we started, so we know what they're waiting for.
Cool.
They are waiting for the one, the only Clyde Hall. Clyde, what have you for us this week, good sir?
Well, there were several good books that came out this week. I really am liking. I like that Moon Knight story, which I guess some people would consider it filler, but giving Hunter's Moon a chance to shine. No pun intended. Dr. Moon.
I was like, what is this? Dr. Moon.
Yeah. I really, really liked that issue. Turned out very well, I thought. I did identify something in the Peacemaker TV show this week that something that Brian Morris said earlier made me think why it seems to be so good. It was about the death of DC heroes. The death of DC heroes. That is a show that builds characters strongly and then is not afraid to kill them, and in a way that seems permanent death in the TV show, at least. That builds a lot of drama, and it has increased as you get to know these characters and really like them. So they've got one more episode before the season. Also, Eric, what did you think on the last episode of Boba, the Book of Boba Fett this week?
Fett! Boba, Boba, Boba! Book of Fett!
Have you ever done that before?
No. I thought I was crazy. A friend of mine sent me a message. I'm like, okay, I haven't seen anyone else talk about this, so I thought maybe I just missed it every other time. But yeah, that's the first thing I noticed. I'm like, wow, interesting. Kind of a little corny, but I mean, because I'm used to the chanting, and then they did that, but it wasn't as good as last week's. But I was still happy. Overall, I think that this series was great.
Yeah, pretty good wrap for it.
Well,
Boba rocks.
Yes. No Ooga Chaka, Ooga Chaka, but it will have to do.
I still would like to have seen Bosk, IG-88, Dengar, Zuckuss, and Forlom show up. What I want to see is a Cobb Vanth spinoff series of Justified on Tatooine.
I can't say I wouldn't tune in for that.
I would watch. I'd watch anything Timothy Olyphant's in.
He's good. It's quite good. Yep. Okay. I also got the review of my first Scout comic this week for Comics Bookcase, The Cult of Icarus #1, and it was quite good for a first issue. A lot of punk rock reference. And that spirit flowing through it, very distinctive and stylized artwork. But I was impressed, and I will be picking up more Scout products now based on some of the recommendations you've given and all of you guys have given. And my first exposure is a very positive experience. It is about, and go over and look at the review at Comics Bookcase, but it is roughly... It's about a girl who was entered into the orphan system. So she's trying to track down her biological parents. And one of the things that came with her when she was a little baby into the state foster care system, was a book in some sort of a dead language. So she tracks down somebody that she thinks will be able to read it for her and tell her what it says, maybe give her some clues about who her parents were and where they are. And you find that she becomes quickly involved in an underground mystical world that includes apparently vampires and other creatures of the night. And she makes acquaintances with somebody that knew her parents, and also a hard-rocking, hard-drinking, vampiric punk rock star who is the lead singer for the Vicious Kittens, which is, I love the name. So it just all I needed, I think, to be perfect was, for a first issue, it needed a soundtrack, some kind of a soundtrack you could have listened to. That would have been good. But it was a good read. I wanted to go back. This was from the last week in January, and I'm hoping that Aftershock will put out a trade for this, because I really did enjoy the series. I did a review of one of the earlier issues, but we finished up the Seven Swords series. If you recall, this is the one that has kind of that League of Extraordinary Gentlemen gathering of legendary swordsmen from history and fiction. And I liked the way it was going. It wrapped up very well. So, 7 of Swords, 5 of 5 here. Aftershock Comics. I can't show very much artwork. I had to very carefully do the review because it goes straight into a primary climactic battle. And it gives away, to show too much of the art, gives away story points. But here is where it begins in the Colosseum in Rome. Broad daylight, where you have all of the swords together for this big battle. So you can't ask for a better setting as far as a climactic battle between good and evil. And it's not just a sword fight. It's also a battle of souls.
Oh.
Yeah. Each character has this kind of backstory double page like this. It's not a double page spread, but as you can see, the artwork is very layered. It has like a flashback and then up to the current situation. And again, here's the one for well, part of it is Dr. Blood. But you can see his current situation in a flashback here. But so this is Seven Swords, number 5 of 5, and the cover is very, very applicable here because you see the flames. Well, this is a battle against the forces of hell themselves. So, Aftershock Comics, $3.99, written by Evan Doherty. The art is by Federico Dallocchio, colors by Valentina Biancani, and letters by Dave Sharp. It is rated mature. Now, while I write for various sites, this is my own independent feature, and it should not be considered representing any view of those sites. The final chapter of Seven Swords serves up an epic conclusion. Our 7 legendary swordsmen and swordswomen, including D'Artagnan and Cyrano de Bergerac and Sister Catalina d'Arusso and La Maupin, Captain and Dr. Peter Blood, Don Juan, and Ahmed, a thief rescued from the streets of Baghdad by an ancient order called the Broken Brothers, are the main attractions in this Roman Colosseum event as orchestrated by the villainous Cardinal Richelieu. The citizenry are rounded up as witness to the contest, pitting the heroes against the power of a cursed relic and Dr. Faustus. This final and greatest confrontation occupies the lion's share of issue number 5, and it doesn't leave a lot of room for anything else, including the epilogue or resolution, and we'll get to that in a minute. That left me a little cold. Of all of it, the pacing of this series has been the most problematic, I think. But in this case, the big battle, it's good use of space because it's not only a battle of steel, but because it's a battle of souls, too. Evan Doherty has told a lot of story in 5 issues. And that includes all 7 of the swords, who they are a bit, where they came from, ancient secret religious orders, lost Amazon treasures, connections between said artifact and a certain Carpathian nobleman who was a great warrior possessing dragon-like ferocity, and bringing all these fictitious, historical, and both characters together from across the globe in a reasonable time period for all that. It's an amazing feat of writing for 5 issues. The title led me to research a lot of literature in past eras, the way very few comics do. It's the kind of quest that I love, even if some ended down hours-long rabbit holes of research. But I echo Doherty's hope that in his afterword, that this title will cause people, especially new generations of comic book readers and readers, to check out these classic books and plays and characters that he refers to. The conclusion is satisfying, and hopefully Aftershock will offer that as a TPB now that the series is complete. If a second volume evolves, though, letting it span 6 to 10 issues would help the pacing. Pacing, that has been my only qualm with this title. From the opening issue and to the aftermath of conflict in number 5, this creative team has worked cleverly at condensing and streamlining the narrative. But it's a big narrative, and despite all their best efforts, that story it feels rushed in places. And no more so than in that final part of the issue. We get done with this huge battle, and it's the shawarma scene from Avengers, pretty much, of like, see you later, bye, see you later, goodbye. It doesn't leave you feeling like there's going to be a sequel, and that would be a shame. If Doherty can come up with a good story, I think that this has got legs, this whole concept, and they could do more. At best, this feels like this is great storytelling moments that missed some opportunities. And at worst, it sometimes makes the flow of happenings hard to follow. Certainly not enough to be a deal breaker, because this is a great read, but you do feel that it could have been an even better read if it had more pages. Federico Dallocchio's art is more compacted in this issue. It's a great artist, and I hated to see things scrunched, and it is pretty tightly woven into panels. Again, it intentional, though, to tell a lot of story within the allotted pages, but his spacing and excellent line work do prevent you from noticing. I didn't notice it so much till the second read through. And even then, he's made it work organically, and his scenes from each character's past fused with the Colosseum battle are very excellent. This epic sword and souls duel is a high noon affair, held in broad daylight in the center of the Roman Colosseum. And Valentina Biancani, her colors bring the right element to the infernal dealings of beings involved. And these are creatures that normally they're in shadow play. You don't see them in a broad daylight. So I applaud the way that she has colored it, and then the rising of the scarlet lens that she brings to it. It's not blood, although there's a lot of swordplay. It's not blood. It's perdition's rising flames to this climax. Dave Sharp brings us some sublime font work in murmurs from Across the River Styx and whispers from the Prince of Lies. Excellent sound effects in some of the big fight scenes that I couldn't show very much of, but they are there. And there's a booming heroic rallying cry which echoes across the ages even today that he upholds beautifully. He's been in top form for this title, and this includes regular dialogue in several different languages that the characters speak. In the series finale, we get a capstone to the meeting of legends in their crusade against the forces of evil men, in the person mainly of scheming and heretical Cardinal Richelieu, and against the inhuman legions of hell itself. In theme and in storytelling stakes, this creative team went big. And overall, I think they really succeeded. So my score for Seven Swords number 5, and indicative of the entire run, is 8 out of 10.
Nice. Very cool.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yep,
sounds
definitely.
good.
That's good.
Yeah.
Hey, Clyde, speaking of Boba Fett,
Mhm.
so I have my Cobb Vanth pop right here. I ordered I ordered from a Hot Topic, and there's a chase of it without the helmet. Otherwise, he's still in the Boba Fett armor. He's got the helmet.
Oh, okay.
They sent me the chase.
Oh, nice.
Ooh.
Nice.
Good for
I
you.
put it in a case right away, and I keep it back here.
Mhm, mhm.
Otherwise, it just looked like Boba Fett.
Well, yeah.
I was like,
Ooh, another question.
Like I said, Clyde the Kingpin.
Yeah.
And Carl Witzman says, wow, 8 out of 10. That's pretty high for Clyde, too. That is.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's only one prostitute on here, like, you know, easiest one here. So.
Superman, 10 out of 10.
24 out of 10. It's got staples in it, too. It's great.
They sold one copy, and I got it.
That's right. Cindy Gap has another question. There is not a reason for apology, Cindy.
Yeah.
Clyde mentioned the pacing of his review tale was a bit too quick. So, is pacing a totally subjective thing, or is there some sort of rule of thumb for telling when the pacing is too quick or too slow? That is a super, super question.
For me, on this particular series, the first issue just drops you right in. And it's really confusing. It took me almost 3 issues to figure out who all these characters were, you know, because they're all characters from past, and they didn't just come out and say it. They didn't have like a tick sheet. If you remember how they promoted the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen online, they put up little profiles of each of the characters so that you kind of had an idea and a reference. I don't remember any of that for the beginning of this, and I was sort of like, I like the idea. I kind of get it, but it's just so they didn't bother with any kind of an intro. It's just boom. And then as it's gone along, there have been times where they stopped to show quite a bit. And other times when they just kind of, you know, very quickly, little kind of a mention that it's real easy to miss. So you have to go back and go, wait a minute, why are they here? Why? Oh, he said we have to go to the hometown of, okay. But it was, you know, compared to other books, the details can get lost depending on how they're handled. And this was a book of a lot of details. So for me, giving your characters time to breathe and develop, not making it all expository, it needs to have some action, but you've got to mix it up. Usually, now there are exceptions to this rule, but you got to mix it up a little bit and make us care before you embark on big action sequences, because otherwise, who are we rooting for? We don't always know. But that, for the storytelling aspect, I like a narrative to be able to do that.
Very good. Joe, Eric, do either of you have an opinion on the concept of pacing?
I agree. I mean, you got to make people care about the story, care about the characters. It can't be too rushed or anything like that. And you have to have a good balance of action and uh, non-action. Issue 2 of the Zombie World of Oz, they killed off a character, and people were kind of upset with me because they cared about the character, and I really only had him on maybe 3 pages before that. I just introduced him in that issue, and I was like, oh, well, I didn't know I made you guys care. I'm sorry, but
well, that works. I did a short
the
story.
dogs agree with me.
Yeah, the dog. Yeah, we have the dog vote on this one. But no, I did a short story one time where one of the nicest compliments I ever got was one of my beta readers wrote me back and said, "I hate you." And I'm like, "What have I done now?" And she's like, "Well, you killed the main character in this book, or actually didn't. Well, she died, but also condemned her to an eternity of torment." And she goes, "I like the character." I said, "Well, you weren't supposed to like the character. She is a female dog." And she goes, "Yeah, but I liked her. You made her understandable, relatable." So, but Joe, do you have an opinion before I voice mine?
Didn't you just voice yours?
I'll just key it off with the word subjective, because the reader's mind and the writer's mind are 2 completely different things here. So the pacing, as far as the writer's mind is concerned, it could have been a well thought out, well paced story in the writer's mind. But as the reader indulge in it, they may have questions that you may never ever think about or really delve into. And depending on those questions, really determine the pacing that people are going to perceive the story in. Mm-hmm. So it's awfully hard to take that step backwards to be that reader, to have that reader's mindset while you're writing, to determine whether it's good pacing or bad pacing, or it's too fast or too slow. You just kind of have to roll the dice on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'd agree with all you guys on that. I might also add that a certain amount of the pacing is determined by the very craft of writing comics. In that you only have X number of panels per page. You've got X number of pages per comic. And then you have to decide where you want to be from the starting point in your story to the end point of that issue. And do you give the reader adequate time to breathe? I've read books that were nothing but like 20-page fight scenes. And yeah, the action is fast and furious, but it's boring as hell too. I think a good, and Cindy, you probably find this along in your own writing for prose, that I think I talked earlier about cinematic influences, and I think one that a lot of writers should pay attention to is Alfred Hitchcock, because Hitchcock knew how to build suspense, how to make sure the viewer sees the menace that's coming, but maybe decide to keep it from everyone that's participating in the story so that you start to worry. And he was also good at, building things up to a certain level, like a climax of sorts, then letting it ease down a little, set up for the next scene, and then ramp it up again, but this time a little higher. And, just keep that constant up and down until you reach the end when you give the ultimate payoff. Again, let's use Psycho. It starts out, you're introduced to the characters. You see that Janet Leigh just robbed the bank she's working at. She takes off. She meets the Norman Bates, then starts to take her shower. And that's when everything's, you see that she's being watched. That's part of the tension that's building. And then you have that, the iconic shower scene. And then the rest of it is, well, we can't find her. Norman disposes of the body. We can't find her. Martin Balsam goes to investigate, and that builds up to where he's killed, and then it goes back down again. So I think that's a sterling example of building tension and allowing it to be released, which I think helps with pacing. But again, you also have to figure out putting in I keep talking about mini mini cliffhangers at the end of as many pages as possible to get the reader to, to pick up, to keep turning the pages, get to the next one because they're still interested, building up characters. And I would agree it probably is subjective to a large degree, because we might look at one work and say, oh, they didn't spend enough time on this, and another one of us might say, oh yeah, but they rushed through that scene. I wasn't satisfied by what I saw. I wanted more information. So but I think for the most part, I think improper pacing calls attention to itself, like bad coloring or bad lettering. And it's one of those things where it's one of those things where you might not be able to quantify what constitutes good or bad pacing, but bad pacing when you see it.
In the case, sometimes too, you get pacing that is intentional to. It's kind of I think the writer's version of that whole splash page that's not really needed. Like, okay, we have Captain Blood. He's a pirate. He's got his own ship. They travel on the ship. We never get, and there's a battle between the ship and this other ship, but we don't ever get to see it because that would require a lot of research to make it where people didn't pick it apart. And he didn't really have the space, but I think there's also a certain amount of, I can just say this happened. And, I wouldn't know how to go about writing a 17th century. I have to go back and watch Master and Commander a whole bunch of times to get the feel for that, probably. So I understand maybe where he's coming from, but then why make him one of the seven? If you didn't want to bite that off. But I definitely felt that more than anything else, I felt cheated that we didn't get to see more of that. And if he'd had more issues, he'd have had no excuse. He'd have to have done that, I think.
That's true. Good
Clyde,
point.
as an artist, all splash pages are needed.
I don't think so.
But you got to make them count too.
No. Although, when they're done right, excellent. But the early, what was it, latter part of 2021, how many Image comics did I pick out and go every time, oh my gosh, why do we need, it's a book about eternal darkness over the planet. We don't need, a full, in issue 1, they have the full page, black. Yeah, we get it. It's dark. It's been darkening for several pages. We don't really need a great big thing goes, and then it went out. Okay, all right, but for dramatic effect, okay. But then the second issue, a double page spread of darkness and one little word line at the bottom, that just feels like you're,
Yeah.
It could be worse. It could be worse because you mentioned 90s Image comics, and the Image comics was noted for this.
Yeah.
Here I come. I'm about to come into a fight. I'm about to get the first blow in. I jump up in the midair. And here's my 10-minute soliloquy of what I'm about to get ready to do to you and how I'm about to do it and why I'm doing it and how I'm going to do it. And you're up there like, why is he talking so much?
Republic serial villains got nothing on me. Yeah, exactly.
Or you're leading up, to the suspense, and you go to the last panel. Who is that? And then suddenly the giant full-page illustration. I'm ballpoint pen man. Watch me flex. Like I said, I think bad pacing calls attention to itself, and then what not to do with any luck. Cindy Cap says, thanks. I have written a ship-to-ship battle, and it was tricky.
Yeah.
I can see that. I can see that totally. Yeah. And Carl Westman says, I guess everyone rates higher after being snowed in for days. It could be. It could be. Even I wanted to get out of the house. And Dan Hollifield has an excellent comment here. It goes, excellent points, gentlemen. Thank you. I would say that pacing is one place where prose and sequential storytelling overlap. Have to strike a balance in both styles. I would also add, could you take out a certain sequence or dialogue or a panel, and if it doesn't affect the story, See,
Yep.
you know, I'm going through that now because I'm editing a short story that I.
That's how you end up with splash pages. You keep taking out panels.
That's right. Pretty soon, it's a one-line story. This is why I keep trying to teach you people about elevator pitches. And Donna Carlene is
I
in
suck
total
at
agreement.
elevator pitches, though.
Say what?
I suck at elevator pitches.
I will train you. It'll be moving you closer towards your hidden goal of writing prose, and
Not going to happen.
not gonna happen, not now. It's going to get bad guy rant trademark. That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, your hero going into a bad guy rant as soon as he about to take the first punch against the villain. I was like, why are you doing that? That defeats the whole purpose.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's something back in the days when I wrote mini comic.
I'm back like this, and I'm going to go into this one big old rant. That's like, come on now, you don't have that much time. You up here about to get ready to punch the guy. You only got a few seconds.
Exactly. Well, something I used to do, you talk about the bad guy rant. I used to poke holes in some of my old mini comics where the bad guy would get the protagonist in a precarious situation and start, say, well, yeah, I suppose you want to know all about my secret plan, huh? And they're like, no. Don't care. And there's, what do you mean you don't care? Do you know how much time I spent putting in the neutronic bomb and the sensors that are going to put off, and I put in these exact 17 locations, and they're all like, because they got the bad guy to reveal the plan. So just taking the wind out of that. And Dan pacing, silly mortal, and Ted mocks us with his laughter. And damn caps locks. No, I thought you were excited, Donna. I'm sure I'm covering for you. And AE3 and forward will Animal Line number 3 and 4 will be expanded by 1 issue. 2 is too dense for kids, and 3 to 6 are even heavier. Now, this is something that a lot of people, and in fact, I don't think I learned this till, I think it was maybe the night that Cindy and I were on Joe's show one night. Mm-hmm. The first issue of Animal Eye, the original Animal Eye novel is 700 pages. Mm-hmm. And she covered 150 pages worth of stuff in that first issue.
24, was it 24 or 28 pages?
24
and
pages.
Kept it very relatable and understandable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She told a lot of story in a very small space and worked it. I thought it was excellent. Yeah. And now this fellow Dougherty, he is he writes screenplays. He's written several movies that I've seen. I'm like, oh, okay. So he has a cinematic mindset to how he writes, but there was some trouble transferring it into this book for only 5 issues. I think if he'd had more issues, maybe even if he didn't include more naval battle, okay. Yeah. But I think 6 issues or, maybe 7 or 8, I don't know. You have to do what your company says so that they want to put into a trade. And I think if I'm right, if I'm thinking correctly, Aftershock usually has 5, but okay. So then you spread it out more and you make 2, the same story, but covered over maybe 2 5-issue volumes, right? And then TP it twice. But I don't know. It's a kind of a dicey concept for a modern audience. So maybe they just didn't want to take the chance on, getting halfway through it and there not being enough interest to continue it. Right. So yeah, a new hopeism of, we don't know if this is going to be good or not. So we'll put all the good ideas in the first movie.
Yeah.
Sequel? Oh.
Oh wait, they did go see it. Oh crap. But anyway, it's a good point about issue 2. Because I'm kind of a script editor for Cindy, and I never thought of the kids reading it, and that would have been useful. So, that's a good point. Moving forward, I will try to keep that in mind. But I remember reading the old Spidey Super stories back in the 70s.
I'm totally collecting those now.
Oh, I don't blame you. I wish I'd never gotten rid of mine. But they had usually a maximum of 4 panels per page. Mm-hmm. And that was to make it easier for kids to comprehend, without a lot of confusing imagery on there. It's very straightforward storytelling by Win Mortimer. So, that's a good point, Cindy. We will keep an eye on that. And yes, Dan Hellefield has the right term, monologuing, mm-hmm. for what the bad guys do. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Good choice. And don't forget, Dan Holofield will be on Stupid O'Clock at 9 p.m. tonight, and also on his own show, Last Man Standing, at 11 p.m. all times Eastern, because I don't think in any other terms anymore. So anyway, so we've got a little bit of time, guys. Do you have anything that's on your minds? Cool. Thanks for sharing. Well, I was just looking at something on Bleeding Cool while I was waiting for everybody to show up, and there is a long, super long article on all the books that are going to be late from DC, including a couple like the Joker #3 on the by Brian Azzarello and Alex Maleev is going to be, by the time it's done, 6 months late.
Wow.
Between issues 2 and 3. That reminds me of back in the 70s, like with
and that's a Batman related book.
Ooh.
Yeah, really. I'm surprised DC didn't like call in like an army of artists to help him get that Batman book on schedule, because that's important. But then again, we have the pandemic, we have a shortage of drivers, shortage of workers. So I guess we shouldn't be too surprised, but still.
Almost all that is done digitally. Why would they need drivers? I mean, they email everything, they scan it and send it electronically.
It's the other thing that I was about to get ready
get it from the printers.
Mention. It's the other thing I was about to get ready to mention about the show that I did about the dang, I forgot the term. The bean counters.
Oh, right. Yeah.
The rotating creative teams. Because again, DC has a knack today where their creative teams are rotating. So you got people creative teams for so many pages, and it's changing, and it's not a consistent team. So it's like, for example, the whole thing that I brought up about the Wonder Girl series being canceled. I found out that they had a rotating creative team behind it. So it wasn't just Jonelle Jones, writing it, and I forgot who was penciling it. It was a rotating staff, and it's like, why would you have a rotating staff for a ongoing series, let alone within like the first couple of issues? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
That would drive a book to be late, because now you got all these people who may have pages 3 through 5 of one series, and then 10 through 11 in another series, and the last 3 pages in another series, and they got to schedule all of that instead of just having them to focus on one book and one book only.
Yeah, I think you're right there. It's like I pointed out with Justice League, the Justice League Incarnate book. There's 3 different artists in there.
And there's also a rotating staff behind the scenes that has been causing issues. I mean, it's the people just formatting the pages to go to the printers. I mean, they're missing pages. They're not formatting correctly. I mean, this is problems they've been having at DC, because they're just rotating people in and out in these positions that they miss the deadline is what happens. So it has to get resolicited and gets moved back and back and back. And it falls out of a specific time window. It could be months.
Yeah,
and they're trying to sell, Time Warner is trying to get rid of their media division, which includes DC. Is it Discovery that they're trying to market it to? Okay.
Yeah. In fact, the Federal Trade, I read a couple days ago, the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, has.
There goes the comic.
Housekeeping.
Boom.
Clean up on aisle 4. But no, the Federal Trade Commission just okayed the sale. So.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Well, I did have an unusual kind of a crossover on our library board. There's a group that invests money. It's outside the library, but it's an allied group that invests money, and so that we can afford more things than we could just on our regular budget. And over the years, they've invested very wisely, and we have a nice kind of a hedge fund that can be applied to the library as needed. And I've never been part of the group that actually looks at where the investments are going to go. And this time there were 3 options that were put up, one of them being AT&T. And I'm thinking to myself, they were not looking for my input, because I don't really have any as far as investing goes, but I was interested that, AT&T was one of them that has made the money in the past. And all of a sudden, the Wall Street Journal comes out that's got the Time Warner getting rid of their media group on the front page, and they're all like, "Yep, we're going to take a pass on AT&T. Yep, I don't want that. No, not this time." And I'm like, "Ding!" based on the kind of stuff we're talking about, the rotating, cutting, and the big cut of staff last year.
Yeah.
I would not have. I was glad. I was actually kind of relieved to see them cut that one free and go with the other two. But
yeah. And we have more comments here. Let's see. Again, we see who makes the shows run long now. Yeah, well. And Amy Hale is here. Amy, mwah, glad to see you, hon.
Amy, look, a chase.
That's right.
And it's not the only chase I got in the last 2 weeks. I also ordered another pop from Hot Topic, which was Brett Michaels.
Ooh.
For Poison, and they sent me the chase of him too.
Oh, nice. Good deal. Glad to see you here, Amy. And yes, the gravity exceeded the friction on those things. Of course, it was this. So anyway, that's all as usual. It's my fault. So nice. Love it, says Amy Hale. She's happy. She's an addict. And panels without dialogue, is that still a thing or a historical thing that is no more?
No, it's still a thing.
Yeah,
it's still a thing.
Yeah. Very much a thing, yeah.
It's part of storytelling. Sometimes you don't need dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. If anything, I think one thing that may be no longer in vogue are thought balloons. Now
you don't see those that often,
Yeah,
I disagree with that, but then again, these writers nowadays don't want to do exposition or character building.
Yeah,
because people's thoughts builds character, and they don't want to do that. They don't want why people do what they do. They just like, they're going to do the action. It's like, no, give them some thought. It's like they don't have to do everything right then and there.
Right.
Make them think about what they're going to do, and then several issues down the line, if they do it, they do it.
Right. That's right. Very good question. Good question and good point. Good point. And Grant Laker.
No.
Yes.
Well, I was seeing if there's any in Daisy 3, if there's any non-dialogue panels. There's like 10. There's a 2-page spread.
That looks vaguely obscene. Remembers to me. It's like a Rorschach test for Brian, and Brian failed. We're gonna get those robots. We're gonna get those Russian bots now. But anyway, we want to say hello to Grant Lankard, who's got a Kickstarter going for Beowulf #3. Hop on that and make it happen. All right. So, and Donna says hello to him. So, and we'll get that out there. There we go. So, and Joe said, "Oh no!" Right as I said hello. Coincidence, Grant. It's do you think he bought it, guys? Anyway, but no. He meant he was not. It was a total accident. And go Grant, go Grant, go, says Cindy Cap. Thank you, our cheerleader extraordinaire. So
I wonder how many more questions Cindy may have.
Yeah, let's you got any more, or do you want to save them for next week, Cindy? Your choice.
Oh, while we wait for her to say, I did notice on the solicitations for April, DC has an Earth Prime title that it doesn't necessarily have to do with Batman, but it's based on the TV shows that are currently on CW, which right now, Legends of Tomorrow, they're starting out with like 2 issues. One is on the Batwoman part of the Arrowverse, and the other one is the Superman and Lois part of it. But then their follow-up, one of them is Legends of Tomorrow, but it's one of those weird times when they've got Earth Prime reflecting the stuff that they're doing in the cinema or the television universe of it, which we've talked about before. Is we hadn't seen that very much for a while, since like the old Superboy series, some of that stuff. So I was kind of surprised. And then I also saw where they were going to charge $6.99, I think, for the the Death of the Justice League issue, which doesn't surprise me any.
No.
But
Yeah, I went into my comic monger yesterday and said I would like that issue reserved for me. I just want to read it, and he didn't look surprised. It sounds like he's been getting a lot of people that are thinking this may be the new thing.
He just knew it was you.
That's a valid point.
He already had it down.
Yeah. He knows my. Well, it's like I said. He put away the startup issue because he knew I liked it, and he does that for me. That's what I think a good comic dealer will do. That if they know your taste and they know that you don't read previews, because you're going to order the same 10 comics anyway every month. That he'll sneak something in the box, and I think there's only one time I've put it back on the rack, and I have the option to put it back on the rack. But otherwise, if I ask
they don't
for
force
it,
you to buy it. I hope you have the option.
Yeah, really, yeah. No,
It's in the bag. Sorry, sir. You have to take it.
that's how we used to run the shop in Champaign. But that was one. I can see it because it's based on you ordered it.
Mm-hmm.
But the way things go, it's like you cancel it. They're probably still stuck with a couple extra issues after you drop it. So, or at least it used to be that way back in the day. So anyway, Cindy Kemp has a couple things, but first, Carl Wisman says, "Legends of Tomorrow is my guilty pleasure. What a weird show."
yeah.
I agree. That's part of the fun of the show. I think it's like you just never know what they're going to do next. You go, I can't believe they did that. City Cap says that's it for now. But as I start rejigging the plot of Animal Eye 3 through 6, I'm sure I'll find some. Cindy, when you do, if you want to run that script by me again, I will keep that in mind about the children.
And that's a great Southern term there, rejigging.
Rejigging, yes, it is. And thanks for the answers, Cindy. Thank you for the great questions. Those were fantastic, and we welcome stuff like that. And thank you for asking questions we know the answers to. So anyway, and anyway, Joe's like, "Why did I sign up for this thing?" Anyway,
no, I was like, that was an excellent response. It's like you asked a question that we know the answers to.
That's right.
I was up there like, we don't know, and then we just look sad at the screen.
That's true. But by gosh, we know stuff. So
we'll make it up. We don't care. We're writers and creatives. We'll make it up.
Well, Cookie, my wife Cookie calls me a professional liar. And I'm like, well, yeah, it's true. I make up lies and people buy it two ways. One is they believe in, and they also purchase it too. So, and let's see, here we go. Grant Lankard says, Barbaric is my favorite current comic. Are any of you guys reading it? We have reviewed it on the show. Yeah, Clyde's reading it. It looks good. It really does. I think it's a great idea on that. Oh, and by the way, speaking of something interesting, I saw this just before the show. I don't know if anyone's aware of something called humblebundle.com. And the idea is that it's a charitable organization where you can purchase like computer programs, games, books, and comic books. And last month they had like a huge selection of Humanoids company comic books. And today I noticed they just did Vampirella, including the archive editions of Vampirella and a lot of the Dynamite issues. Now, the thing is, it's pay what you want. And so, like, you pay, say, $10, you get a bunch of stuff. In this case, you get something like 30 different items for $30. Now, they're ebooks. They're digital. But I did that a few months ago. About 6 months ago, I think it was. I gave $30, and it was to a prison literacy organization. Putting libraries into prisons and helping prisoners who are illiterate to read. And for $30, I got the complete set, including all tie-ins of The Walking Dead from first issue to last. And that's if you went to Comixology and tried to buy that,
that's a lot of money.
That's
a lot of money.
that's a poop load of money there. So I saved it and I got some great comics. So that's something to consider. And this is they call it A Bloody Good Time. Let's see, here it is. And it features stories by Grant Morrison, Mark Miller, Kate Leth. I think Gail Simone was one of them. Plus, you help support the NAACP Legal Defense and Educational Fund, too, in the process. So it is a good charity, and you do some good for people, and you get a buttload of great reading, too. So
that makes me think about the thing that was up in the air as of late about the thing that they're currently fighting dealing with affirmative action.
Oh, right. Yes.
The Supreme Court made a change in a decision from a long time ago, and it's threatening affirmative action as we know it when it comes to college admissions.
Right. I remember reading that. Yeah. So anyway, that is humblebundle.com. So if you want to check that out and get some really cool comics.
Not to be confused with Humble Bumble from Rudolph.
That's very important.
Yeah.
You give Humble Bumble $30.
It's gone.
It's gone.
Hookers and blow. That's all there is. That's all that's going to be left. There's going to be a line of powder and somebody's underwear.
All the behind the scenes stories you've heard, they're true.
It's true. It's true.
Just like the dwarfs from Wizard of Oz.
That's true. Well, what's it?
Rough behind the scenes stories.
Yeah, that's
the real reason why they never mess with the Lollipop Guild.
That's right. They're vicious. They are vicious. You know, what was it? That Under the Rainbow was
Oh, I
love that movie.
Yeah,
I do too. And then you hear about the real life stuff that went on behind the scenes. It's like, oh my god, that's horrible.
This is a documentary, not a fictitious account.
Yeah, it's a docudrama.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway, Grant is glad to see Cindy, as we all are. And Donna's got a jet. Donna, thank you for being here. Appreciate your appreciation. And Grant, we just took in a kitten, and Grant wants pictures of his kitten, and we'll have more
Yes. Well, this bitty kitty, I want to know more about this cat. So.
Yeah, well, found her outdoors, and she came right to Carl. Obviously, this cat is hooked on whiskey and cigars. But anyway, that sounds great, Carl. Glad you could adopt the cat. And we have a number of cats in our neighborhood, and a couple moved out from across the street from us, and we think they left their cat behind.
I thought you meant a couple cats moved out from across the street.
Yeah, they were.
What neighborhood is this?
Yeah, really. Yeah,
a cartoon neighborhood.
Yeah, no joke. Yeah, they were anthropomorphics. It's really
furries.
The Garfields have moved out. Oh no. They made the best lasagna, I tell you.
That's right. They don't move very fast, but hey, and we are trying to help you, Grant, and hope you make your goal. I don't know how far away you are, but in the time we've got left here, let us know how your campaign's doing and put in a link to that campaign for.
He is just under $800 away from goal with 25 days to go, and I posted the link in the.
It should be there.
YouTube chat.
Excellent. Thank you, Eric. I appreciate that. And I got to get on that myself because I sure enjoyed the first two issues. So everybody check that out. Well, maybe we'll talk about more tomorrow and never mind the furthermore. So, and do you have a name yet? Yeah, his name's Carl. Carl Whitson. His parents gave it to him. Pay attention, Grant. So anyway. And here we are. There we go. Thank you, Carl. Thank you so very much. Everybody take a screen capture of that and get you some of that. All right. And Calico Cat, so Donna said Callie. Oh, that's a cool name.
There you go.
I like that. All right. Now we're covering the true issues in the comics industry here. So anyway, and thanks, Eric, says Grant Lankard. We take care of our own here. We take care of our people. So anyway, so does anybody have anything else they'd like to discuss? Okay, then why don't we call this a night? It's a night. Okay, there we go. And
Lunch meat.
And Ninja Genko, how you doing? Glad to see you. And lunch meat. Is this like the Queen song where they're singing about fried chicken? What is this? Anyway, now I'm hungry. So now we got to get something to eat. So what we're going to do is we're going to go around the room, and everybody please, and yeah, it's time to go past your stupid clock. That's right. And thanks for hosting Adventures. Cindy, thank you for being a part of it, an important part. We appreciate you. And thank you very much, Ted Davies Artistry. And check out his channel on YouTube, Ted Davies Artistry. Also his website, teddaviesartistry.com. Thank you, Fab 4 to 5. Thank you very much. And if we'd gotten a less sympathetic judge, it'd probably be 5 to 20. But anyway, good night, Grant Laker. Thank you for showing up. And so let's go around the room, and we'll start with Joe this time. Joe, tell everybody how they can keep up with your amazing exploits, sir.
Well, if you really want to keep up with me, you stay tuned to the Rise of Tide Network coming this Saturday. I always have my show from the Desk of a Small Press Publisher at 10 o'clock Eastern Time, 9 o'clock Central. If you're not into the YouTube viewing type pleasure, you can always keep up with me either on Facebook, up under my name, or Secrecy Studios, DeviantArt, Instagram, Twitch, if you want to look at archives of some of our or smaller snippets of the actual from the Death of a Small Press Publisher show. And, you can hit me up at any time on the social media or on the company webpage, which is at cgcstudios.com. That's XIGENCY studios.com.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for being here, Joe.
You're welcome.
All right. And now here he is, Mr. Eric Pro Slayer S. Hawkins. How can people keep up with your Funko Pop collecting self?
Well, if you go download the Funko app and want to share your collection with me, and you can see my collection, you actually can go out there and do that. You'll see how many I have, and it's embarrassing. It really is, because there's a shelf here, there's more ups there everywhere. I'm the creator of for World of Oz, and issue 4 will be launching soon. So once you see me start sharing the pre-launch page, it's going to be 30 days from there. Also, I am fulfilling other people's campaigns now. Vestry issue 4, which closes in less than a day and a half. It's fully funded. It's on Indiegogo right now. All 4 issues are available. You can go out there and check that out, take a look at it, back it, share it, whatever you want to do. You can find me every Thursday night here, and after this show, usually about an hour after we end, and then I'm always still late getting over to the show. We draw comic book characters, or sometimes we do other crowdfunding projects for other creators, like tonight and last week and the week before. So tonight we're doing Gun Demon, which is actually on Indiegogo as well. Tank Ferret was in your chat earlier this week, I think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he is one of the creators.
Oh, cool.
So we're drawing that character tonight. That's being fulfilled by Critical Blast. He has a YouTube channel which talks comics all the time. And apparently he's done other fulfillment for other people, and it's gone very well. So we're going to have fun drawing those characters tonight. And otherwise, you can find me on any social media site. Just look up my name, and you'll find me. I'll be there.
There you go. And it's drawn and quartered, right?
Drawn and quartered fan edition, even though we call ourselves the Ultimate Edition, because the Pro Edition is Mike S. Miller's show. And when he declared he was no longer going to do the show, because we're kind of like a sister to that show, because the winner of our show gets to go over there. He wasn't going to do his show anymore. So we rebranded ours as the Ultimate Edition because it was the only edition. So, he only took a week off and brought his show back, but we still call it the Ultimate Edition. But he calls it the fan edition. But yeah, it's on Chester C. Busby's channel. You can also check him out. Just if you're offended easily, don't tune in. That's all I got to tell you. He does. If you like role playing, him and some guys on Tuesday nights do role playing. They'll do Dungeons and Dragons or other different role playing games they play online. And then he has comic book news on Monday nights, and on Sunday nights he does kind of a It used to be like tinfoil talk, but it's all over the place now. So
sounds good. Thank you. And Denisha Genko says that sounds sick. That's right, and that's a good thing. And good night to you, Grant Lanker. Thank you for being here, and thank you, Eric, and thank you, Clyde Hall.
Hi.
How do people keep up with you?
I'm Clyde Hall. I'm an indie author, cool by osmosis, writer by choice. And you can keep up with me by going and finding the Stormgate Press anthology series, Pulp Reality 1, 2, and 3. My work's in that. I got some more Stormgate Press work coming out, but also if you go to www.stormgatepress.com, you'll see all of the new pulp genre releases that they have available. I'm also a contributing writer at www.comicsbookcase, all one word, .com. And every Wednesday, we drop new reviews for books that are coming out that day. And interviews sometimes, comic book news, but you can check us out there. You can find me on Twitter at CJHall1984, or you can find me on Facebook under Clyde Hall, or Radiating Positive Vibes with author Clyde Hall. And on Thursdays, you can find me here as part of the Rising Tide Broadcast Network, and proud to be so.
Well, we're proud to have you here. Thank you so much, Clyde.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. And I'm also proud to be on the Rising Tide Broadcast Network too. I have no choice though. But anyway, I'm Brian K. Morris. Always glad to be here. And if you want to follow me, I am at risingtide.pub. You'll see a link to my Amazon page, my Smashwords page, also my broadcasting on YouTube. Please like, share, and subscribe. That would help me so much. I'd appreciate it. And if you want to learn more about the Rising Tide Broadcast Network, check out our Facebook page and give it a like if you would, please. And we've got your entertainment and enlightenment 7 days a week. Right now, Stupid O'Clock is running. Check it out. It's a fantastic conversation geek show. You will dig it the most. And it's followed by Last Man Standing with Dan Holofield. Same stuff, just later at night, and even more raucous, perhaps. And then tomorrow morning, I will be back with Nevermind the Furthermore, our interactive creative conversation show, and it's at 10 a.m. Eastern. And Drinking with the Davies starts at 7 p.m. Eastern, where Christine and Ted Davies are going to mix some great Valentine's Day cocktails for y'all, followed by the Historical Fencing Guild with Nicholas Anthony Tockard, plus more entertainment and enlightenment over the weekend. So check out our schedule at Facebook and give that page a like. Also, want to say thank you to our Patreon supporters who you see here, who are helping keep the lights on at the broadcast center, and also the press is rolling for the books. We are humbled by your support. We really are. But in return for your modest financial stipend every month, we give you stuff. You can see an exclusive blog, see works in progress, all kinds of goodies. And you can see all that if you go to www.patreon.com/Brian K. Morris. You'll see the levels, what we offer. And hopefully there'll be something for you on there, and you can get your name on that card too. We also want to thank, as always, our episode sponsor, Jeffrey Hayes and Plasma Fire Graphics. Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you. If you got a great book that you've been working on, then you need a great cover to help sell that. That's what Plasma Fire Graphics does 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 or 6 a year. You'll find the great work on his portfolio, on the Facebook page for Plasma Fire Graphics. Also, then go to plasmafiregraphics.com, see more examples of his incredible artwork, and then ask him for his rates. You'll find them very indie comic friendly. All right. So check it out at Plasma Fire Graphics when the look of your book matters to you, because it definitely matters to your readers. Excuse me. And we are going to take off for now. If you're watching us on the rerun, we appreciate you. Leave a comment down below on YouTube, and we'll try to reply to you. Otherwise, we will see you next week at on Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central for another incredible episode of Comic Book Spectrum. Thank you all for your ongoing support and your participation. We'll see you next week. And so, as always, remember to stay smart, stay safe, wash your hands, never apologize for being awesome. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you next week on Comic Book Spectrum. Take care.
Thank you for watching Comic Book Spectrum, a Rising Tide Broadcast Network production. Please join us next week for another look at comics, past, present, and future. If you enjoyed this, please give the show a like and be sure to subscribe and share it with your friends. To receive our free monthly newsletter, go to www.risingtide.pub and be sure to give the Rising Tide Broadcast Network page on Facebook a like in order to receive news about upcoming shows including Clever Title Pending, Stupid O'Clock, Clever as Hail, Comics Chaos and Sass, Tidbits and Scribbles, the Historical Fencing Guild, and Nevermind the Furthermore. See you next week.